Good morning, everybody. This is Elizabeth at Valley Poultry, giving you an update on my newly completed grow out pens. If you're interested in details about the entire structure, then please go look at the other videos where I did step-by-step on our build. This is a greenhouse aviary, which has quickly become my preferred way to keep the birds. For a lot of reasons, but the big one is that I can cover it all with plastic in the winter, so then when my husband goes off to work on a freezing cold morning after it snowed, I don't worry about snow accumulating and breaking my net. And that's happened. So anyway, granted, we don't live in a climate where that happens much, but once was too many times. Anyway, so this first section, both sections actually, are about 20 feet by 20 feet. And you'll see that we have some black fencing here. That's called silt fencing. And the idea was to put that in between all the pens so that they weren't obsessed with trying to go to the other side. Well, as you can see, we don't have one in the middle anymore because it turns out that was a terrible idea. Silt fence ravels really easily, kind of like burlap, and the little darlings thought it was so much fun to play with it and ravel it and then get tangled up in the threads, so we had to take that down pretty quickly. But they were actually nibbling right through the netting, and this is 1-inch heavy-duty aviary netting. It's the heavy knotted. So, you know, it was like, okay, well, we have to figure out plan B. So I'll show you that in a minute. Our doors are constructed with a screen spring so that it always goes shut and locks with one of those little, I don't know what they're called, locky devices. I thought I would mention and brag. I have buyer's resistance for a $30 wrought iron stick in the ground hose holder. So husband built this for me. Isn't that nice? Out of scraps that we had. So yeah, I mean, I'll buy expensive things if it's really necessary, but this one kind of saved me a little bit. So here's the inside of the pen, and the pools are about 6 feet by 5 feet. And it's connected with a center pipe that goes down into U-shaped PVC, and you just pull that out and it's connected to that pool and on out into pasture where it drains. So it makes this pretty easy to drain and clean. It is fed most of the day with our fresh well water. Our well isn't very robust, so I have to be very careful and cautious on how I use it. So we will, once I do all of the pools in the morning, which takes about 3 hours, I can come out here and trickle it with, if I take a break, about 30 minutes to make sure it's fully recharged before I go. Also, when I clean it, I just pull that centerpiece out, let it drain, scrub down the sides a little bit, and then fill it back up with well water. Basically, the well water is set right now so that it refills the entire contents of the pool once per day. There's always going to be poop on the bottom and there's always going to be yuck, but it makes it pretty easy to clean this out every 2 or 3 days. Here's another feature that we have in all of our aviaries, which we call the food court. And we build these, and basically it's just a hinged lid that has room underneath for 2 buckets of pre-mixed food, which we feed everybody. This one is what we call the diver mix, and it is 50% Missouri waterfowl breeder and 50% floating catfish food. This mix is our standard aviary mix that everybody gets. It's 50% feed wheat and 50% 21% chicken pellets. Oddly, the ducks seem to prefer this, although I always put a little bit of the mixture out, the diver mix out. I find 9 times out of 10 that they eat the other stuff before they eat that, which really surprises me, but there it is. So they have either available no matter what they want to do. Initially, I had designed this so that I could keep the larger species separated from the smaller species while they were little and growing out. So right now in here, I've got some marble teal, wood ducks, and mandarins. I still have some wood ducks, Hottentots, I think that's it, left in the wet brooders that I'll bring out sooner or later. This is the fix to the problem of them chewing through the net. This is plastic hardware cloth that I got on Amazon, not real expensive. So we attached that to the netting, and then he secured it with zip ties very close together so they can't fly down and get caught in that. And that seems to have stopped the problem. They're not chewing through the net anymore. Yeah, so the plan is, because these are not permanently attached on the sides, they're attached with strips of self-adhesive Velcro. And the plan is that I can take all those off, both sides, and then we can raise these up if we decide we want to make it into one big pen. We haven't tried it yet. I don't know if it's going to work, but it looks good on paper and gave me that option should I decide to do that in the future. My grand master plan here is to use these 2 spaces for winter housing for my call ducks, rather than have to do all of their little individual pools in the cold and the freezing weather. This would really be a lot easier, and I think they would enjoy having the extra space and the big pen too. So this pen is where the chair resides, which is of course key to the whole operation. Let me see if I can get this out. This side has mandarins. There's one clutch of mandarins in here that were out of a white pair, and so I decided I wanted to keep them separated until I know their gender, so that I don't get them mixed up with the ones, even though they have leg bands on. Visually, it'll just be easier for me to identify what's what. And Hottentot teal, silver teal, ring teal, and 2 random marble teal that got over here through a hole they chewed one day, and I just haven't bothered to put them back over. Let me just say a couple words about marble teal. They're kind of an under-promoted species. They're really sweet, calm birds. They're not out to hurt anybody or get anybody's way. They're a little bit bigger than most teal, so I put them in with mandarins in the breeding pens this year, and I feel like that did really do them a great service. Mandarins are kind of pushy and snarky, and the marble teal just are not. So if I move forward with them next year, I think I'm going to put them in with the calmer species like the other teal. Even though they're bigger, they're just not geared mindset the same way that the mandarins are. Speaking of which, they're not so patiently waiting for me to throw them some mealworms, because this is my absolute favorite time of day, when I can come out here and just watch them dive for mealworms. This just really never gets old. So here we go. Let me see if I can get this out without dropping the phone. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, they knew it was coming. I generally wait until ducklings get a little bit of back feathering before I put them out here, and this last little clutch that I put out, you can see is doing just fine. The adults are generally pretty good with them. I have never seen any of them hurt one. I'm sure there's cases where they do. I find that the mandarin side of the house is a much rougher crowd, and they push the ducklings around for a little while until everybody learns their place. This side is a whole different ballgame, and oddly, these little ringtail who had never seen a grown-up ringtail in their lives immediately were surrounded and have glommed onto the older ringtail juveniles in here. And whenever I just sort of look out and see what they're doing, they're generally hanging out with ringtail, the same species. I just find that fascinating. Like, how do they know? I don't know, but they do. We have security cameras in just about every pen and across the yard. And I have really enjoyed that luxury so much, being able to look at them all on my screen at home in the computer without getting out in the weather, just seeing what they're up to. It's helped me on a couple of occasions spot an issue or even figure out who's using what nest box. So that's one luxury that I have truly, truly enjoyed. And every time we think we've got enough, there's always room for one more. They would do this all day. I don't think they ever have too many mealworms. Anyway, leave me a comment. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody.